Sunday morning. The passing of the mouse. And good morning again.
Good morning.
We're live. You know it. We're live, right? Here on our little camera. Because you know we live stream. So if for some very unfortunate reason that you can't be here, you have an option. It's all good, everybody. It's all right. We're okay. They would expect me to be a little off center anyway, wouldn't they? So check this out. I had so much to say today that I thought we need to extend the service today. And then I thought, it's awful close to lunchtime. You probably won't let me get away with that. So instead, I put together, I've been doing this a little bit lately, a PowerPoint to kind of keep me on track because I am so jazzed about today's talk. And I have done the 4 agreements by Don Miguel before. Today we're doing the first 2. Next week, Alex, our guest speaker, will do the second 2. But I was so jazzed, it's a good thing I didn't have to do all 4 because we'd have had to have 6 weeks. Take a little look at this cartoon here. I don't appreciate you questioning my integrity, especially since I've skipped town and can't be there to defend it. Today we're going to talk about being impeccable. Today we are going to be impeccable with your word, which is agreement number 1, based on the 4 agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Fabulous book, been around for a while. It's not brand new because it's wisdom. It tends to hang out and stay around. Based on Toltec wisdom. That's what this book is based on. Your word is the most powerful tool you have as a human. It is the tool of magic. All the magic you have is based on your word. No pressure. I have an acronym. I know it comes as a surprise for the word magic. Moving all good into consciousness. Moving all good into consciousness. This is about your word, folks, and it is the magic wand, as Florence Scan told us. It is your magic wand. Your word is your wand. What we teach here at Unity is that we create our world through our thoughts, our deeds, our words, and our actions. It's your magic wand. Have you been looking for one? You already have it, which is of course true about most things that we desire. I love this quote by Deepak Chopra. The word is the only thing that God cannot take back. Ooh, that was an interesting reaction in the room. The word is the only thing that God cannot take back. Now, I have another wise person in my life, and this is the way she said it. Let me be gracious and sweet with my words today, for tomorrow I may have to eat them. Okay. Nothing like Grandma Maine wisdom, at least not in my world. Let me be gracious and sweet with my words for today, for tomorrow I may have to eat them. Your word is your wand. It is your power. And we're going to talk about keeping it impeccable. Being impeccable with your word does not mean being impractical. And I had to throw this in, and it came in about 2:30 this morning. Because what came for me was this. Well, I'm being impeccable in my word, so I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. I'm being impeccable with my word, so I can be nasty. I can be a jerk because I'm being impeccable. And under the guise of being impeccable, we hide. And we think that we're draining the swamp. We think we're changing the world. We think we're making a difference because we make somebody feel less than we are with the impeccability of our word. Being impeccable with your word does not mean being impractical. And it is not an open license to just be a jerk. So you want to know how you pay attention to that and make sure that doesn't happen? I do. There it is. So here we go. You can measure the impeccability of your word by your self-love. I want you to think about that for a second, just because I want to get a drink of water. I am so fired up about this talk this morning. I got to tell you. I feel like this. I feel like this. Our word is our wand. We are invited into being the greatest expression that God calls us into. Yeah, that's not on the PowerPoint, I get that. We are expected, and we have an anticipation to be that expression of God. And the way that we start that, the best place to start with that is to be impeccable with our word. And our word is not just these things that come flying out of my mouth. And trust me, I have plenty of them. I have more words than all that stuff I described earlier in my office. It is also being impeccable with my thoughts. It's about being impeccable with my actions. It's about aligning with the true, authentic self that we talked about when we did Let Your Life Speak. Being impeccable with your word is a big deal, folks. And you get the opportunity every time you open your mouth, every time you take an action, every time you have a thought. You get the opportunity to up the game. No pressure, right? No. You can measure the impeccability of your word by your level of self-love, and they couldn't have said that any better. In the book, The Four Agreements, this is exactly what Don Miguel tells us. You want to know how impeccable you're being? Check out how much you love yourself. You know those stories you're running? He calls that, wait, I know this, mitote. It's the fog. It's the cloud that sits over the top of us based on all the stories we've been told. We cannot show up as the amazing beings that we are called to be if we are under that fog. You want to be and know how impeccable you are at a deep core soul level? Check out how much you love yourself. Because every time you run that story that you're not enough, every time you say, I didn't get it right, every time you think, I should have done it differently, you are punching a hole in your impeccability. Because that ain't true. You are a divine child of God. Get it. Just get it. You're a divine child of God. Say it with me. I'm a divine child of God. Okay, now we can come from a place of impeccability. Now we can be impeccable with our words, because now we can show up as who we were intended to be, as intended by God, or Buddha, or Allah, or Joe. I don't care what you call it. Just call on it and be in alignment with it. Be present to it. Now you can come from a place of being impeccable. And that is indicated by your self-love. How impeccable are you today? Nobody has to answer that. And the real question is this: how much do you love that child of God that you are today? Because that will tell you how impeccable you are with your word, with your deed, with your thoughts. It's right there, folks. It's actually right there. Self-love. And the really cool thing about this getting in alignment and knowing who we are called to be is that we become immune to the mitota, the fog, the lies, the stories, the things that we've been told since before we can remember what it sounded like to be told. We get to step out of that. We truly get to step out of that fog. This is the power of being impeccable with your words. and your thoughts and your deeds. And you'll notice that your forgetter is broken when you get in and right and straight with the knowing of your own divinity. When you choose to step into being impeccable, your forgetter gets broken. And what I mean by that is this: you forget all the stories. You forget all the junk. And in any other room, I probably would use a different word. You forget it. It is no longer yours to own. Your forgetter gets a new perspective. What else did I think I was going to say today? So what are the benefits of being impeccable? This is pretty simple. I don't really need to tell you much of this other than the emotional poison that comes from that fog. The emotional poison that infiltrates all those areas of your life that keep you from allowing yourself to be loved, allowing yourself to be present, allowing yourself to be this expression is dissipated. Because you no longer hear that story or that fog. You become that clear expression. The emotional poison is cleared. Now here's a word we don't see much in New Thought. You're freed from sin. Ooh. Whoa. Whoa. We don't say that word very often in this room, do we? You're freed from sin. Sin is the separation between you and God, and you knowing your divinity, and you being that expression. That's sin, folks. And you know what? I do it every day. I'm packing the car and I'm thinking, you should have started 10 minutes earlier. What's wrong with you? You know better. Every day. And every day, by the grace of God, I get to say, sorry about that. I forgot who I was for a moment. And then, when somebody doesn't do exactly or behave in the way that I think they should, I get to look at them and say, oh, sorry about that. You forgot who you were. I get to be that. I get to show up that way in life. Being impeccable with your word will free you from the separation of your own divinity. Being impeccable with your word is a statement that you remember who you are. And who is that? Read that last line to me.
A divine child of God.
That's because I wanted to get another drink of water. And if you take nothing away today, and you'll surely take something away. I mean, what if we got at least food over there? You'll take something away. But if you take nothing away today, that's it. Being impeccable with your word is a statement that you will remember that you are a divine child of God. You know, none of it's hard. It's all pretty simple. But we struggle a little bit. What do you think of this? Anybody ever done that?
Oh my God.
Because when we become impeccable with our word and we remember that we are divine children of God, we no longer have to, and we move right into agreement number 2, take anything personally. And I said anything. Even somebody telling me to have a nice day and I don't want to. I just don't have to take it personally if I remember who I am. And if I am standing in the impeccability of the word that moves through me. Have a nice day, don't tell me what to do. Ever have that moment? Come on, we've all had them at least once. Don't take anything personally. I love this quote by Don, and I have the opportunity and the right to call him Don. I will have you know that when we hosted him, when I was director of operations, I was chief water bottle carrier. So I made sure he had the chair, the table, and the water that he wanted. So I feel like we're on a first name basis. Taking things personally is the maximum expression of selfishness because we make the assumption that everything is about me. I wanted you to say that because I didn't want it to be all about me.
That isn't true.
Taking things personally is the maximum expression of selfishness because we make the assumption that everything is about me. You take it personally because you agree, ooh, this one hurts. You agree with whatever was said. Ouch. Ouch. No. That's not true. It is true. You know, when somebody says something nice to me, I have a tendency to say this. That's a reflection, is what I say. So if Bonnie says something nice to me, and she frequently does, and I appreciate that, I say that's a reflection. And what I mean by that is at some place in Bonnie, she has a point of reference, as we've talked about before, that she can recognize that in me because a part of that is true about her. And that's really the good news when you're saying something nice. And it really isn't the good news when you're saying something not nice. You just don't get to have it both ways. And so the reason we take things personally is because there's an element of it that we know to be true about ourselves, or that we're afraid that it will be true about ourselves. So the next time you have that little moment of feeling personal, you're taking it personal, you might want to consider that. When we take it personally, we're imposing the world onto their world. Now think about that. I love that. Could you hear that? Did you hear people thinking? I love that. No smoke, but I did hear it thinking. This is what my granddad used to say. Somebody says something not nice to you, or they're rude to you, or they tell you to have a nice day and you don't want to have one. You might want to remember this. You do not know who kicked their dog that day. You do not know. You don't know what their life experience was that morning, moments before they may have run into you. You do not know what it looked like for them in their life for the last week, the last month, the last year. You don't know what kind of loss or issue or problem or challenge that they're having. You don't know if they just walked out and got a diagnosis. You don't know. You don't know who kicked their dog that day. Don't make it about you. It's about them. And when you're being authentic and you are impeccable with your word, it will move you to a place of compassion for that moment in which they are expressing that toward you. You don't have to own it, only if you choose. You don't know who kicked their dog that day. You just don't know. I want you to affirm this with me, will you? I take nothing personally because I am impeccable with my words, and I know who I am. Let's do it again. I take nothing personally because I am impeccable with my words, and I know who I am. So I want to tell you a little story about this personal thing. Jen brought this up. We were talking earlier. Well, I probably shouldn't have said her name. She probably wishes I hadn't done that now.
That's fine. I'm an open book.
We were talking about glasses. And I have this little saying that one day I woke up and my arms were too short. And so all of a sudden, you start doing this deal and buying the cheaters and you're getting the next size up and you're doing all those things. And I thought, Penny, just go get glasses. And all of a sudden, the fog landed. And this was the fog. 4th grade, Jimmy Phillips, cutest kid in the class. He was my desk mate. And one day, we laid our heads down to rest because that's what we used to do in school. And I took my glasses off and laid them on the desk and laid my head down and I'm looking right at Jimmy. Not a bad view. And he said, wow, you're really ugly with your glasses on. And I took those glasses and I folded them up and I threw them in the back of the desk. And I, to this day, still do not put on a pair of glasses that I don't think that. You talk about a fog? I'm a minister, for heaven's sakes. You'd think I'd have let that go a long time ago. I've done a lot of work. I've done radical forgiveness. I've done all these big programs of letting things go. And that is a fog that sits over the top of that simple little event in my life. What's yours? What's yours? You got one. Let's lift the fog. Let's step out of that so that we can truly be impeccable with our word. And we can move to a place of taking nothing personally. The first time I did the talk on the 4 agreements, the second agreement of taking nothing personal happened to be on a Thursday night, which was the same day as the Boston Marathon bombing. I couldn't get there. I could not stand in front of a group of people, having talked about being impeccable with my word the week before, and say that I was not taking that personally. I take it personally when our own community here in Flagstaff, our Islamic community and our Jewish communities are being vandalized. I take it personally because there's a part of it that speaks to a part of me that is yet to heal any prejudice and any closed-mindedness that I hold. I don't want to be reminded that that's a part of who I am. I don't. Now, maybe you're all a lot better at that than me. But I take it personally because I don't want to see that ugliness. I don't want that to be in my community. I don't want that to happen in the world. But if I can step out of taking it personally, I can move into action. I can stop being mad. I can stop being sad. And I can move into a place of doing what I'm called to do in that given moment because I am no longer making it about me. And because I am living from a place of impeccability with my words, my thoughts, my deeds, and my actions, I don't have to question what my motives are. Because I've gotten clear. I've gotten absolutely clear of what I stand for and who I am. And I don't have to be afraid and take it personally that it's a reflection on something that lies deep within me. I get to heal what is deep within me. I get to move forward, and I get to take the me out of it. And I get to be present to the God divine within me and come from there. This is what it means to take it, not personally. This is how we change ourselves and our world. We be impeccable with everything that we say and do and think. And we move away from taking it personally so that we can hear the divine guidance of who we are. You have honored me with your presence here today. Namaste.